Hey there, welcome to another edition of The Sky This Week for August 16th, 2021. I hope you're doing great wherever you are, and I hope you've got some clear skies to see some of those beautiful heavenly sights up there. It's been beautiful here in Montreal where I am. Got a lot of different things I got to see and things that are on the calendar for this week. So why don't we dive in? First off, I want to welcome everyone. I've got the chat room open. The comments are coming in. It's great to see everyone. Oh my gosh, I've got a lot of friends out there. I recognize their names and seeing people from everywhere. We've got Teresa from Illinois. We've got Lynn from England. We've got Gopa from New Jersey. Jojo from New Mexico. We've got Marilyn from Germany. Christelle from Marseille, France, welcome as usual, and Victoria, San Diego, California, Claudia from Germany, Limon from Bangladesh, and Jackie from Smoky, Alberta. Of course, with all those wildfires, my heart is with all of you, of course, with those fires everywhere. Please stay safe wherever you are. Why don't we dive right into the program? And first off, did you guys get to see any of the Perseid meteor shower? It peaked last week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday nights. Here in Montreal, I had some kind of partly cloudy, mostly cloudy, very hazy weather, rainstorms coming through on both Wednesday and Thursday. Didn't really have too much of a chance there to see anything, but Saturday night, actually post-peak, I was out for about an hour and I saw 7 shooting stars in an hour in a very small, I live in a wooded area, so I see a very small little window through the sky. I laid down on a day bed and I had my daughters with me. They're 12 and 13, and 3 of us were looking up and enjoying the night sky. We counted 7 in that small window. So I figure if I had the whole sky, I would have seen twice as many maybe in an hour. So that's pretty good. I live in a pretty light polluted suburb, outer suburb of Montreal. So I'm just curious how much you've seen. Now, what's interesting, and leave by the way your comments there in the comment section. I want to hear the numbers too, see what you managed to see. Internationally, observers are reporting that the peak of the Perseids were lower than expected. Why that happened could be where Earth was going through in the part of the debris cloud left behind by Comet Swift-Tuttle, where exactly we were positioned and where we were plowing through, of what part of the cloud, how dense it is. That's really what determines how many of these particles, these sand grain sized particles, plow into our atmosphere. How many of them? How dense it is. And expectations were that it could go as high as 100, 120 shooting stars per hour during those peak times. But it looked like it was more like 60 to 70 shooting stars were the upmost max that people were seeing. So that would mean that the rates would probably be lower, half of what we thought the maximum rates would be. So, but otherwise, it was a beautiful sight. They were spectacular. I saw a couple of fireballs, smoke trails, really, and even one particular Perseid was very orange in color. Definitely had a really nice color, orange yellowy color to it. A lot of fun. So stay tuned. There are more meteor showers coming later this year, and we'll be talking about those in future shows. So do stay tuned. So why don't we dive into this week's through the planetarium program and see what's in store for us this week. And here you go. You've got the night sky set up for Monday, August 16th. And this is where the moon will be tonight. This is something that you will see tonight is look for the moon. It's a waxing crescent moon, actually gibbous moon, I should say. And it's smack dab right in the middle of the constellation Scorpius, the scorpion. This giant arachnoid is in the southern sky and is very evident right around the world. Everyone can see this. And what you'll notice is an orange star will be positioned very close to the moon tonight. So take a look at that, because that star represents the eye, or in some cases, depending on the artist's interpretation, represents the eye or the heart of the scorpion, and it is Antares. Antares is this really beautiful orange colored star. It's a red giant that sits about 550 light years from Earth. That's right, 550 light years from Earth. That means it takes that over 5 centuries for that light to travel in space from the star to reach your eye when you see it. So check that out tonight. It's going to be very close to the moon. Beautiful pairing, really up close. And of course, if for those of you that can see deep sky objects through a telescope, if you have a small telescope, the moon, of course, is going to have a very bright glare, but maybe perhaps you'll see the appearance of the globular cluster called M4 next to Antares. We've talked about M4 in previous shows before because Scorpius, of course, is such a dominant constellation this time of the year for those of us in the northern hemisphere in our summer. And of course, those of you in the winter hemisphere, southern hemisphere in your winter season, you can see this as well. And M4 is just a gorgeous globular cluster. I mean, check this out. Here's a beautiful close-up photograph of it. It's basically a city of stars, over hundreds of thousands of stars packed into a ball-like configuration. And it just represents a fantastic sight through a telescope. This is about 7,000 light years away, and it's very close to the star Antares, very close to it. You can see that right there. So if you have a telescope, you know where the moon is, and you'll see that orange star. And if you point your telescope at that orange star and then scan the sky right next to it, you'll see that faint glow from that M4 globular cluster. If I move off this over here, you'll see that's what it looks like. This is what you'll see, this little hazy ball glow in your telescope. Of course, if you punch up the magnification, as I'm doing here on the planetarium program, you see that it starts resolving the outer stars on the edge of the globular cluster. And you see that there's just innumerable amount, countless number of stars. There's really over 100,000 packed into this ball-like configuration, like I said. And it's over 7,200 light years away. So something cool to see through a telescope. Great time to find it. Of course, by Tuesday, Wednesday, the moon will move off away from Scorpius and leave behind this really fantastic sight of globular cluster under darker skies, because when the moon goes away, you'll see a lot better. It's just that the moon is a good guidepost. If you've never seen it before, it's an easy way to find it. So that's something that you'll see Monday night as well. But if we move this to sunset on Wednesday, and we move to Wednesday, here we go. So we go Tuesday, Wednesday. What I want you to look at is that Mars and Mercury down here, and you see Venus up here. Well, Mars and Mercury will be at their closest approach to each other. We call this a conjunction, a planetary conjunction, when two planets come very close to each other. And this is what you'll get a chance on Wednesday to see them at their utmost closest. It's really spectacular through a small telescope, particularly. With the naked eye, they almost look like they're practically touching. And if we go back to Monday, where this is tonight as I'm recording, look how fast these planets appear to be moving in relation to each other in our sky. So this is something you're going to look towards the west. The trick is you have about a 1 hour window of opportunity to see these two planets before they sink down below the horizon in the west. So they follow the sun. So you look towards the west, wait until after your sunset, and then try using binoculars to scan that part of the sky, and you will know where to look, by the way, thanks to Venus up here. So you've got Venus way up here, and then just look to the far lower right of it, closer to the horizon. So find a spot where it's very clear to the west, a hilltop, a rooftop, next to a lakeside perhaps, but looking towards the west where you see a clear view of the sunset. And then just be patient. Wait about 20 minutes, a half hour, it gets darker, and you'll see these two planets. Now, if you do that tonight and on Tuesday and Wednesday, you'll see the movement day to day. It's really fascinating to see the two planets make such closeness. So this is Monday night, August 16th. This is Tuesday night. This is Wednesday night. Look at that. They're practically touching. They'll be only 0.1 degree apart. Very close, about 1/3 the disk of the disk of the full moon. So if we zoom in on this, you'll see that they are two distinct. They're still a distance apart, but through binoculars, this is kind of the view that you'll get. Look at that. You can separate it easily with binoculars. So here you can see the brighter of the two dots that are going to be in the sky. The brighter one is Mercury, the one below it. And then the one that's fainter and has a very distinct orange color, that is going to be, of course, Mars. And if you have a telescope, the view gets even more interesting, because check this out. This is the view through a telescope. You can see distinctly the disk of each of the planets. I mean, this is really cool to be able to see the disk of the planets through a small backyard telescope. And you just pump up the magnification, change out the eyepiece to where you can get more magnification, and you'll be able to see those disks. Mars is very faint because it's on the far side of the sun. It'll be harder to see that disk. Mercury will be closer to us, and we'll be able to see that disk much more easily through a high magnified view through a telescope. Again, this is a telescope view. After sunset on Wednesday is when the two planets will be at their closest. And here we'll zoom out. This is the view through a pair of binoculars again, and then moving out, you see what it looks like to the naked eye. And very cool, of course, is going to be on the far upper left of that pair of planets is Venus. Really a beautiful sight. And as we go farther, and if you watch it later this week, you'll see by this is we're on Wednesday, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There you go. So you see how the planets are moving apart. Mars is sinking, Mercury is a little bit rising, and you can still see the two planets separate. Try to find them with the naked eye. From the glare of the sunset, I would recommend waiting a half hour after your local sunset to really minimize that glare so you can see the two planets really easily. With just the naked eye, binoculars, it's a cinch, right? Really easy with binoculars. It'll help you bring those binoculars out to find them first. Maybe you'll be able to pinpoint their location with binoculars, and then use your unaided eyes to see if you can pick them out in the sunset, just after sunset. And so remember, but they will sink within an hour. An hour after the sun sets, the two planets will follow. Venus, on the other hand, you'll have more time. It'll take a few hours for it to follow as well, but by a couple hours later, the planet Venus will follow those two planets and the sun to sink below your western horizon. Something really fun to see. So if we zoom out and we look back, we go back to this week here. Let's go and we look at after sunset, and then we go a little bit later at night. What you'll see, of course, is the moon there, but if you turn your back to where the sun sets, you'll see two bright star-like objects. One is Jupiter, one is Saturn. Well, on Thursday, this Thursday, the planet Jupiter will be officially at opposition. So what does that mean? That means that Jupiter will be at its brightest and biggest in our sky, and it rises opposite to where the sun is. So it's the opposite in the sky. So as the sun sets in the west, Jupiter will rise in the east and set in the west at sunrise. So it dominates the whole night, and it's truly at its best views this week. So officially, it is at its best on Thursday, but don't wait until Thursday. You can see it anytime, even this month it's great, but officially it reaches opposition on Thursday. So really right now, it's prime time viewing for Jupiter. So I highly recommend looking at Jupiter after it falls dark. Remember, with a telescope, you can actually see the moons and the cloud belts of Jupiter. There you go. That is what a view through binoculars, I should say telescope, will be. Look at that. So you'll see the cloud bands of Jupiter. You'll see the moons of Jupiter as well. Very, very cool. And of course, don't forget, right next to Jupiter, the little bit fainter and yellowy star, that's Saturn. Saturn is right next to it. Though the two planets are in two different constellations. Jupiter's in Aquarius, and then Saturn is in Capricornus, two zodiacal constellations. That's where the sun travels through along with the planets. It's kind of the highway of the solar system. And these two planets are just beautiful right now, and Jupiter is at its best. So don't miss out on watching Jupiter. And of course, if we look as the week progresses, look at that. You see the moon on the right-hand side? It comes into the picture. This is by Wednesday, right? So Wednesday, Thursday, the moon is going to be near Saturn. By Friday, the moon will be just below Saturn. So pairing up with it just beautifully on Friday evening. And then Saturday and Sunday, the moon will be next to Jupiter. So a great way to end the week of using the moon as a guidepost. And these are going to be very picturesque pairings of the moon with these gas giants. And these planets are very bright. You can't mistake them. Jupiter and Saturn are the brightest star-like objects in the southeastern skies now, this time of the year. So just take a look at them. And the moon will be acting as a wonderful guidepost too. So just a beautiful thing. And don't forget, there's still some Perseid meteors to see falling as well. They last until August 24th. So you still have some time to see some straggler meteors or shooting stars in the coming nights of this week and into next as well. So enjoy all of this. I'll have sky charts for this on my Facebook channel and Twitter as well, and Instagram. And if you like this video, please show your support by giving me a thumbs up, sharing it with your network, and of course, subscribing to my channels, whether you're watching on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, on Instagram. I'd love to see you there as well. So until next time, of course, I wish all of you guys clear skies. Bye-bye.